Hoje mais um ditado e condição aí do ditado bem lento, ok? Bem inicial, bem tranquilo, pausas aí bem longas, ok? Então vamos lá, hoje nosso texto faz parte aqui da resolução 697/2018. É um texto bem pequeno, ok? É um texto aí curto, não se preocupa aí com o tamanho do texto, porque né, ele é bem singelo, tranquilo? Então, preparando aí a caneta, preparando o caderno, lápis, nossos amigos e irmãos deficientes visuais, naquela tocada da visualização mental, ok? Você que ainda não forma a frase aí na sua mente, não tem problema, tá bom? Pegando os caracteres já está de boa forma, ok? No futuro, treinando, você pega aí né, a frase toda, né, todo o texto, e sem problemas, tá bom? Então vamos lá. A gente começa o nosso ditado em 3, 2, 1. Corrigindo, ficou o seguinte: aprovar na forma do anexo o regulamento sobre condições de uso de radiofrequências pelo serviço de radioamador. Ponto. Lembrando, esse ponto é o papatango, ok? Abreviação de ponto. Letra P. Letra P é isso aqui, ó. E T de tango. Tranquilo? Então, lendo mais uma vez. Aprovar, na forma do anexo, o regulamento sobre condições de uso de radiofrequências pelo serviço de radioamador. Ponto. Bom, 6h11. Para quem teve alguma dificuldade, faz uma revisão, ok? Pega lá na playlist CW Aula 25 ou segunda edição, repeteco dessa aula, ok? E vamos lá. Oportunidade aos amigos com um bom dia.
In simple terms, the radio transmitters on each set of lights all talk to each other, in turn in the form of a data stream. Using sensors to trigger the transmission, the lights run in order to effectively manage multi-way traffic from all directions. When the lights detect interference, they quite cleverly switch to another preset frequency simultaneously and continue as normal. The sound you heard there was an example of auto-cab media data terminals used by cab companies all over the world. Mainly found around VHF, AutoCab is an example of a digital dispatch system, or DDS, for taxis and uses QPSK modulation. While many taxi companies still use voice transmissions, many have adopted automated data terminal systems where the dispatcher sends information about jobs to terminals in the cars. The drivers can then accept jobs, get information, and send information back to the dispatcher. These signals can be decoded using SDRs and certain software, but just come across as data bursts when received on a regular receiver. This signal is a TPMS, or Tyre Pressure Monitoring System, more specifically direct TPMS. It is a system that uses pressure sensors to monitor tyre pressures on vehicles. Tyre pressure monitoring systems are comprised of sensors that are designed to measure the tyre's pressure on a vehicle and then wisely transmit the data to a monitoring computer, which in turn alerts the driver that the tyre pressure is incorrectly set. Depending on how busy the area you're in, these signals are everywhere due to constant passing cars, and they can be decoded on SDRs and a HAC-RF, which is quite a simple introduction into monitoring and decoding radio telemetry.
VK7HH for Ham Radio DX, and today we're out at Richard VK7ZBX's place. We're going to be doing some 10 gigahertz EME contacts using REX VK7MO's EME system. And today's contact's going to be with OK2AQ in the Czech Republic. So we're just set up here. We're going to put the 10 gig system up and pointing out this way where the moon's currently up here at the moment, but as the moon sets, it will be in that direction towards Europe. So hopefully we can make contact and we'll see how we go. Oh, you get a level.
Level as we can.
Yep. Very important. Why won't that go on? How can something so simple be so confusing? Ah, there we go. Connected properly. Don't use that as a thoroughfare. Trip over. So the IF radio of choice is the IC9700.
It is. Okay, so we should be just about ready to do a bit of a power up. I probably should just go get a screwdriver side.
So for those that are not familiar with how these systems work with transverters and things like that, basically we've got an IF radio. This radio operates on 2 meters and will put out a very small amount of power, which will then go into the transverter, which is mounted on the back of this dish, which only requires, as I said, a very small amount of power from the IF radio. And then that converts it up to the frequency that we want, which in this case is 10 gigahertz. So all the magic happens in the transverter box. We've got GPS, so the GPS will provide a reference for the radio, and it will also lock the transverter on frequency as well, so that the frequency is accurate, so that we're not trying to find each other at either end. So what are you doing right at the moment,
Okay,
Richard?
So I'm going to spin the antenna around.
Hold on a minute, I'll get the mic close to you.
Okay, so basically I need to calibrate to a known location,
Yep.
which on top of Cove Hill is a nice little white hut,
Yep.
which from this location is exactly 232.2 degrees.
And that'll allow you to find the
So
moon later on.
That's right. So
Yep.
at the moment we can see the moon, but I guarantee you when we try to find it, we won't. So
Yeah, it'll be behind cloud or
yeah,
something like that.
it's always the way.
And you're turning it around now towards Cove Hill.
Yep.
Once you get close, you'll be looking through the sight here.
Through the gun scope.
Yep.
And the gun scope has been calibrated so that it's pointing where the dish is pointing. So we do that by aiming the dish at the sun and watching for tuning for maximum noise. So we go backwards and forwards across the sun to get the maximum noise. Then while we're getting maximum noise, we then tune the gun scope so that the crosshairs are on the sun, of course being very careful to slip a welding lens.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Make sure that you don't look at the sun directly.
Normally you make that mistake once and then with your good eye.
Yeah, you've got one good eye left.
The golden rule is to be able to work the moon, first you need to be able to point
See the moon.
and then you need to be on the right frequency. And nearly everything after that is not so bad.
Well, I was just saying earlier that the reason that we GPS lock everything is to make sure that we're on frequency, and of course the other end is on frequency as well, and then that at least takes one variable away.
That's right. You can end up within 1 or 2 hertz at 10 gigs. Which...
And in the software, in WSJT, in the software that we're using, if you're maybe at 10 gigahertz, obviously it's quite high. If you're a couple of kilohertz out, you won't see each other. It's very weak as well, so you won't see each other on the waterfall.
That's it. And because of the Doppler shift is can be up to like 4 kilohertz, so that's the proverbial country mile.
Now your computer adjusts for Doppler as well?
It does.
Yep, so it'll adjust the radio for that automatically.
Okay, so to start with, we have the 9700 radio of choice, which you just need to make sure, that's always a good thing to check, is the power. Just make sure that the power is set to 1%.
One what? Yep.
So, because Rex would be very unhappy if I blew up his transverter. So the radio is under computer control from WSJ2.
Yep. And
currently it's tracking the Doppler on the moon, so it's maintaining a constant frequency on the moon of 10368.2.
Yep, because as the moon moves, the frequency will change, so we've got to track that.
Yep.
Então a gente começa com o artigo 177. Lembrando que a gente veio do artigo 73 da resolução 449/2006, que é a nossa legislação específica para o radioamadorismo, ok? E lembrando que nesse artigo 173, ele nos remete para a LGT, tá bom? Então, essa condição... Acertar aqui um detalhe. Ok. Ok. Bom, então lembrando, essa condição de virmos para a Lei Geral das Telecomunicações é pela própria indicação do artigo 73 da nossa legislação, ok? Resolução 449. Então vamos lá. O artigo 177 fala o seguinte: nas infrações praticadas por pessoa jurídica, também serão punidos com sanção de multa seus administradores ou controladores, quando tiverem agido de má-fé, ponto. Tá? Esse artigo não é para nós, radioamadores, ok? Então, eu está dizendo aqui, de saída, né, nas infrações praticadas por pessoa jurídica, então, a gente nem perde tempo no artigo 177, ok? Somente empresas de telecomunicações, telefonia celular, satélite, enfim, né, empresas que trabalham nas frequências e tendo lucro, né? Como telefonia celular e outros serviços que eles cobram, ok? Então, como nós não somos pessoas jurídicas, vamos deixar esse artigo de lado. Bom, artigo 178 fala o seguinte: a existência de sanção anterior será considerada como agravante na aplicação de outra sanção. Então, a gente já viu algo semelhante no outro artigo anterior que a gente já leu, ok? Ou seja, né, quando você for praticar a pena ao infrator, né, como aqui estamos falando especificamente de radioamadorismo, então, se o radioamador já tiver algum tipo de problema, ou se já teve algum tipo de problema anteriormente, tá, esse problema que ele teve nessa área, né, de comunicação, especificamente aí no radioamadorismo, vai pesar contra ele, ok? Porque vai ser considerada, né, como agravante. Ele já teve um problema, já foi penalizado, ok? Teve uma sanção, e agora ele torna a praticar um outro problema. Então, ele é considerado reincidente. Ele já tinha praticado um problema, torna a praticar novamente outra ilegalidade, ok? Bom, a gente vai dar um intervalo e já retornando. Quem fez aí a aula número 25 e não ficou muito bom, faz um repeteco, ok? Vai lá na nossa playlist, refaz a aula e boa sorte. Qualquer dúvida, na segunda edição, 18 horas, novamente essa aula, ok? CW, aula 25. Então, abrindo espaço aí para os amigos com um bom dia.
Steve, keep having a look just in case we can see it.
So we're just trying the contact with OK2EXU, and you can see we're sending. He's receiving us okay, but we're not receiving him just yet. So we've just been adjusting the dish slowly as the moon starts to set. But at the moment, yeah, we're not hearing him. So we're still trying to make contact. he's hearing us okay, but we're not hearing him at the moment. So we're sort of getting a couple of traces every now and then, but it's been adjusting the elevation and the azimuth. What are we at now? 305. So we set the dial to 305 and look through the scope here. And what was it, sorry?
6.2.
Unfortunately, there's cloud cover, so we can't see the moon, although it might be clear. No, it's not. So we can't see the moon. We know that we're on it because he's hearing us. So yeah, it's interesting. This system has been tested between VK7ZBX and VK7MO, who only live about 20 kilometres apart from one another. And they made contact over 300, no, total was 700,000 kilometres using, oh, you've got one. Here we go, you've got a decode. Minus 30, minus 23? Yeah, wow. Okay, we're in business.
And I think it's a 0 decode as well.
So you can see the time is 2.5 seconds, so we know that it's legit off the moon. Minus 23, so that's popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
After trying for about an hour. You might want to let him know too, so that he keeps transmitting. And what are we at? We're at 304.5 and 6 degrees, so I've got to keep adjusting this. Another thing to mention too, this system puts out 60 watts on 10 gigs, so we don't stand in front of the dish when it's transmitting. So 60 watts at 10 gigs is quite a lot of power. So, and into a dish such as that, there's quite a bit of gain. Nah, no decode. Interesting. Where are we at with the moon? You'll notice that some of the trees are starting to get in the way too of where the dish is angled. So the moon's quite low. And unlike on, if you're working 2 meters EME or 70 centimeters EME, you can make use of the ground for ground gain, whereas at 10 gigs, you don't. It works. Yeah, it's worse. So you end up getting ground noise. So it's much better to be pointing your dish up into the sky towards the moon. Oh, we tried.
We certainly gave it a crack.
We got one decode.
One decode, an AP with an AP of 3.
One decode and minus 23.
Minus 23.
So
he was hearing us at minus. Very sorry, because you're
minus 21. So
you were probably decoded.
So anyway, that's some of the joys and some of the highs and the lows of 10 gig EME. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's definitely worth the challenge.
Gave it
so
a crack.
Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for watching.
It's 280 milliwatts to be exact. 200.
Microwaves are our highest radio bands. This final frontier offers amateur radio operators unique challenges with big rewards.
Point a different direction or 3K3 AB, how copy?
Microwave offers access to relatively large segments of the radio spectrum. You live in an elevated area with panoramic views, you're in a lucky minority who can work the microwave bands from home. If not, going portable is for you. This is a recruitment video. We need your voice on the higher bands to help secure their ongoing availability around the world. This video will point you in the right direction for equipment and resources, and hopefully spur you on to get active in microwave.
That's really good. Sounds like it's going to be a good location.
In August 2020, US amateurs lost access to the 9 centimetre band. The ARRL said, Despite vigorous opposition from ARRL and others, the FCC has ordered the sunsetting of the 3.3 to 3.5 GHz allocation. Currently, there has been a temporary FCC reprieve. In Australia, amateurs lost the 9cm band above 3.4 GHz some time ago. It's now time to slow, if not stop this trend by getting on the bands.
Yeah, but they're coming through exceptionally well. Our antenna is definitely a big improvement, 10 dB, which with a single strong, it doesn't sound like that much. Anybody else out there? CQ, VK3, AULA? Catch you down the track a bit there. 3FS, 3KRD, clear and going forward down. Cheers.
Electromagnetic energy travels in waves. It spans a broad spectrum from very long radio waves to very short gamma rays. The human eye can only detect a small portion of this spectrum, called visible light. A radio detects a bigger and different portion of the spectrum. The microwave spectrum is usually defined as a range of frequencies, ranging from 1 GHz to over 100 GHz. In Australia, the microwave bands are available to 2 of the 3 license types. The Foundation license doesn't have access to the microwave bands. But that doesn't mean those who hold this entry-level license can't experience microwave communications. By getting involved with radio clubs and field days, even reaching out to local microwave operators, Foundation Ops can give these bands a try. The experience will hopefully encourage a license upgrade.
Over to you, 3FS, 3KRD, portable, over.
Standard licensees have limited access to the microwave bands, including 23 centimetres, which is available in a commercial radio such as the IC9700, along with the 13 and 6 centimetre bands. 13 and 6 centimetres are easily accessible due to the abundance of gear made for Wi-Fi. The advanced licensee has access to all microwave bands.
VK3 KRD, 3BCU and VK3IE on 3.4 gig. Basically just straight across the bay with my little printed circuit board antenna and a couple of watts. So big signals all around. 3 KRD in the group, 3FS.
Yeah, VK3FS, portable on the big front, VK3KRD, a beautiful signal here, 5.9 plus 10 dB. Yeah, thanks, Rob. Doesn't really matter where I point for you. I think my beam width's about 90 degrees. So
microwave, as far as the amateur radio community goes, starts at 1.2 gigahertz or 23 centimetres. Although technically speaking this isn't really microwave, it is the limit of the commercial black box or radio you can buy from the toy shop.
Yeah, give me a bit of an overall swing the beam around.
Some operators stop here and don't go above this band for many reasons, but mainly because it's equipment related. The now ubiquitous ICOM IC9700 has been in circulation since 2019. If you can, why not get your station active on 1296.1? Or if your passion's FM, move your local chat to 1294 MHz.
Thanks for the contact, Andrew, and yeah, I'll be around. There's a few guys in Ballarat with 10 gigs. Chris ACG is also here with 10 gigs, and Bernard 3AV, he's got everything up to 3.4. He's working from home in King Lake, so that gives you an idea of what's going on this morning.
Let's take a look at the microwave spectrum in Australia. Microwave is usually defined as a range of frequencies ranging from 1 GHz to over 100 GHz. This range has been divided into a number of frequency bands, each represented by a letter.
Então, que fala artigo 178. Ó, a existência de sanção anterior, ou seja, né, uma punição que já teve anteriormente, será considerada como agravante, ou seja, né, vai pesar na decisão contra ele. Se ele poderia ter uma pena mais branda, uma multa, uma suspensão de 1 ano, depende, ele pode ter uma multa maior, e a cassação, né? Acaba ficando sem a licença, sem o quero, ok? Exemplo, né? Tá bom? Então, o artigo 178 demonstra que se você já teve problemas com a Anatel, isso vai ser considerado como agravante num próximo problema ou delito que você tenha. Tranquilo? O artigo 179 fala o seguinte. Esse artigo 179 também não é para a gente, ok? Não se assuste. A multa poderá ser imposta isoladamente ou em conjunto com outra sanção, não devendo ser superior a 50 milhões de reais para cada infração cometida. Essa multa aqui é para pessoa jurídica. Também esse artigo não é para nós radioamadores, ok? Multas, né, que eu já vi para nós radioamadores de amigos, né, que tiveram problemas com a Anatel, foi multa aí de 8 mil, 10 mil, ok? E um colega ainda conseguiu parcelar, acho que em 10 vezes, né, o pagamento de uma multa aí, acho que era 8 mil na época, tá bom? Então, esse patamar de multa, 50 milhões de reais, é para empresas como Vivo, Claro, Oi, Nextel, televisão, rádio, empresas de comunicações via satélite, enfim, né, grandes empresas que têm faturamento alto, tá bom? Essas empresas que faturam muito e, de repente, não prestam um serviço bom aí para a população, né? A população denuncia, e denuncia mesmo, né? A Anatel está cheia de reclamações contra essas empresas e, né, essa multa aqui chega nesse patamar, ok? Pode chegar, né, não sendo superior a 50 milhões. Então, a gente se aplica uma multa de 10, 30, 40, enfim. Tá? Como não é para a gente, então, não vamos perder tempo com o artigo 179. Agora, os parágrafos já se aplicam, ok? Aqui na parte de baixo tem uma coisa ou outra que se aplica. Por exemplo, ó, o parágrafo 1º desse artigo pode ser aplicado para nós, radioamadores. Olha o que ele fala. Na aplicação da multa, serão considerados a condição econômica do infrator e o princípio da proporcionalidade entre a gravidade e a intensidade da sanção. Tá? Nesse parágrafo único, isso se aplica aos radioamadores, ok? Então, você, ou alguém, algum radioamador aí cometeu algum delito, né, fez alguma coisa errada, aí digamos que seja aplicada uma multa, né, como forma de sanção, ok? Como forma de penalização para o radioamador. Então, aqui se aplica, ó, na aplicação de multa, serão considerados a condição econômica do infrator. Né, um radioamador que mora no Morumbi, né, uma casona com piscina, 5, 6 carros, é uma coisa. E um radioamador que mora lá em Heliópolis, né, um lugar bem humilde, simples, tá, vai ser uma multa proporcional. Então, é o que fala o parágrafo 1º, ok? Na aplicação de multa, serão considerados a condição econômica do infrator, número 1. 2. E o princípio da proporcionalidade, tá vendo? Ou seja, né, a gravidade da pena é condizente com o valor da multa. Bom, vamos dar um intervalo, 6 horas 39 minutos, e já retornando em legislação. Hoje, analisando artigo 177, 178 e 179, ok? São 3 artigos da Lei Geral das Telecomunicações. E já retornando.
The FT818 is a great workhorse and is half the price of the IC705. But if the budget can stretch, the 705 has a waterfall which makes hunting down wayward signals much easier. Both radios ground switch TX, which makes keying transverters easy. The IC705 can even delay the RF out after transmit by up to 30 milliseconds.
There you go, success. 10 gigs. That's Andrew 3FS on 10368.1. It's about 80 kilometres.
A transverter is a device that consists of an up converter and a down converter in the one unit. Two good reliable sources of quality transverters is Kuhn and SG Laboratories. Kuhn is a German-based company and SG Laboratories is based in Bulgaria. Kuhn transverters are a work of art. Exceptionally well built and designed, they're robust and easily configured, but they do have a hefty price tag. From experience, you can't go past the SG Lab transverters. They're everywhere here in VK. They also come with a printed circuit board antenna, which performs pretty well considering. The main type of antennas used for microwave are parabolic dish antennas, grid packs and panels. Recently, Neil, VK3BCU and I put an SG Laboratory 3.4 gig PCB antenna to the test over a path of 77 kilometres, which was pretty much clear line of sight and 2/3 of the path was over water. Robert, VK3KRD and Neil were portable on a dirt road adjacent to Mount Koroit, which is northwest of Melbourne at an elevation of 200 metres. In this test, Neil was pointing away from me, so the starting signal was through his body. He then rotated 180 degrees to face me while transmitting.
Now you are pointing away from me around about 80 kilometres away across the bay. You were pointing away from me and just go again, Neil. I'll see how strong you are. No preamps or anything.
FS VK3BCU off the back of the beam. If you can call it a beam, little printed circuit board antenna, VK3FS, VK3BCU.
Yeah, no strength, Neil, but Q5 audio. So just hit the transmit button and swivel around 180 degrees.
Okay, 180 degrees, coming around 90 degrees, point towards Robert, coming around, and I'm pointing roughly towards you right now.
Yeah, and you're back up to S9, which is terrific. That's a really nice signal.
Neil then swapped out the PCB antenna for a panel antenna, and I kept the PCB antenna attached. In conclusion, the panels will give you a few S points over the PCB antenna. But if you're after a lightweight kit to climb a hill with, the PCB antennas are worth the inclusion.
Yeah, 5 and 9 plus here, 5 and 9, just over 5 and 9, so that's a good spot.
Let's take a look at some of the amateur bands. The 23 centimetre band is the limit of today's readily available commercially made transceivers. Transverters are a good and cheap alternative. SG Laboratory make a 23 centimetre transverter and PA, which delivers 25 watts. It also comes with a PCB antenna, not that you want to run one of these at more than a few watts. Yagis, biquads and grid packs are popular. If you don't want to make an antenna, you can pick up a grid pack on VK Classifieds or eBay. Even companies like Antenna Amplifiers in Serbia make incredibly well-built 23 centimetre antennas that just work. Accessible to standard and advanced licensees, the band to cut your teeth on would be the 13 or 2.4 GHz band. This band is near the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi allocation, and as a result there's plenty of gear readily available. The SG Lab transverter will give you a good 2 watts. There is an abundance of Wi-Fi grid packs on eBay starting at around $100. If you have a good takeoff, you'll find a couple of watts is more than adequate to work 100 kilometres or so. At this frequency, short runs of good quality coax is a must. Comscope CNT240, available from mini kits, or LL400 from Strictly Ham, is a minimum. If you're in a densely populated area, you may have to compete with Wi-Fi noise. Next is the 9cm band or 3.4 GHz band. Just above this allocation on the spectrum is the new 5G mobile phone allocation. This band has similar characteristics to 13 centimetres without the Wi-Fi noise.
Yeah, conditions have returned to normal, so we've heard you testing with Rob.
3 watts from an SG Laboratories transverter into a panel, grid pack or dish is quite capable of going the distance.
I'm just having a conversation with myself on 5.7 gigs. You can hear the beeper there.
Going portable with this band to a mountaintop or lookout is easy. In this example, an SG Laboratory transverter sits snugly into a die-cast aluminium box with a battery pack consisting of 3 3.7 volt 18650 lithium-ion batteries. These batteries are perfect for high current while maintaining good voltage. Something like this with a PCB antenna and a lightweight IF radio is just the ticket for easy portable outings. 3.4 gig gear is not as easy to find compared to other bands which are more commercially in demand. .7 GHz is another band open to both standard and advanced operators. As it's near 5 GHz Wi-Fi, there are plenty of small parabolic antennas available. You may even find panels for this band. This frequency is getting a bit beyond the realms of the grid pack as they become a little too porous. The Kuhn transverters are probably your best bet for this band.
I'll give you 59098. Can't get any stronger, and I didn't even know what the point of the city buildings or not. I just took a rough step in the dark here, Pete. Something happened, I think it's with the 28 volt, and give me another try, see if I can get the other
10 GHz is a band full of surprises, and transverters are the easiest way to get on the band. There are very few manufacturers of these devices. An alternative is to build your own if you don't want to buy. Kuhn transverters are robust and very well made. 250 milliwatts at 10 GHz is more than enough to get you going. In this example, Rob's IF was a Yaesu FT780R. His antenna was a 600mm prime focus dish. His takeoff to the south, despite being rather high, was not totally unencumbered. At Mount Martha, my station's IF radio was an Icon IC705, and my antenna was a 750mm offset dish. At the focal point was one of Paul W1GHZ's dual band 10 and 24 GHz feed horns. My path north was clear across the bay to the city. Both Rob and I were using Kuhn 10 GHz transverters with an output power on average of 250 milliwatts. With the beeper transmitting from Mount Martha, it was up to Rob to do the fine-tuning.
There you go, success. 10 gigs.
Above 10 GHz lies the start of the millimetre wave bands. These bands belong to a bunch of hardcore, real microwave enthusiasts. Peter, VK3QI, is currently building a 47 gig station with homemade waveguide and a Kuhn 47 gig transverter. So now it's down to business, and over to you. 13 centimetres is a great entry-level band. If you have an IC705 or an FT818 or a similar QRP radio at your disposal, you're halfway there. Head over to SG Laboratory and find the 13cm transverter. Send an email to Houston, LZ5HP in Bulgaria and get a price on a transverter. To land one of these, it'll set you back about €156 plus shipping. And it comes with a PCB antenna to get you going.
O amigo lá fez alguma coisa não muito pesada, né? Praticou um erro, tudo bem. Cometeu um erro, cometeu um delito aí perante o Código de Comunicações, né, LGT, Lei Geral das Telecomunicações, porém, né, vai querer dar uma multa de R$10 mil. Né? Então, esse princípio da proporcionalidade entre a gravidade, ou seja, o delito que você praticou e a multa tem que ser proporcional, ok? Então, essa proporcionalidade tanto na condição econômica do infrator, né, como falei, um radioamador que mora num bairro, né, muito bonito, chique, né, tem uma casona, 6 carros, enfim, né, ele tem uma condição econômica, de repente, para pagar uma multa maior, ok? Já que mora num lugar mais simples, né, vai pagar uma multa proporcional a esse desnível social, ok? Esse é o primeiro princípio, né, da condição econômica do infrator. Então, da condição econômica do radioamador. Né? O cara que mora num lugar muito simples, ou num lugar mais ou menos, ou num lugar top. Isso é considerado na hora da aplicação da sanção, ok? E segundo princípio, né, da gravidade e a intensidade da sanção. Tá? Além da multa, né, você pode ter aí outras sanções. Então, você pode ter a cassação da licença, a cassação do COER. Você perde, né, o direito de ser radioamador. Pode acontecer, ok? E as duas coisas, né, uma multa, digamos, aí de R$8 mil, ok? Além da multa, né, a cassação dessa autorização para ser radioamador. Tá? Retirada a licença, COER, sem indicativo, você fica proibido de falar no rádio, ok? Então, que fala o parágrafo 1º. Na aplicação de multa, serão considerados a condição econômica do infrator e o princípio da proporcionalidade entre a gravidade da falta e a intensidade da sanção. Ou seja, né, tamanho da gravidade, né, que você cometeu, né, essa infração cometida, né, é grave, é muito grave, é muitíssimo grave, enfim. Né, isso é pesado na hora da aplicação da sanção, ok? Ou seja, da penalização. Bom, o parágrafo 2º fala o seguinte: a imposição a prestadores de serviços de comunicações de multa e bonificação. Aqui não serve, não é para a gente, tá? Então, nem vamos perder tempo. Ó. A imposição a prestadora de serviço de telecomunicações, então, a gente já para, porque ninguém aqui presta serviço de telecomunicações, ok? O radioamador não é um prestador de serviço, empresa sim, né? Pessoa jurídica sim, nós não, tá bom? É um hobby, né? Radioamadorismo é um hobby, é uma prestação de serviço à comunidade, mas não nesse sentido, né, que você cobra, arrecada, né, por algum serviço praticado, ok? É diferente. Então, o parágrafo 2º se aplica a nós, tá bom? Só pessoa jurídica. 177, 178, 179. Tá, então, do artigo 179, a única coisa que você aproveita para nós é o parágrafo 1º, tá bom? Que é o princípio da proporcionalidade na imposição de uma multa e na imposição de uma sanção, ok? De uma penalização. O caput, né, que é o artigo 179 em si, e o parágrafo 2º não se aplica para nós, tranquilo? Então tá aí, a gente para hoje no artigo 179 e amanhã, em legislação, a gente entra no artigo 180, ok? Essa parte toda nem todos têm acesso. O pessoal entra ali no artigo 449/2006 e passa batido, nem vem aqui para a LGT. Mas como é importante, a gente dá uma olhada, ok? Bom, agora são 6h55. 6h55. Lembrando, tivemos aula número 25, CW hoje, ok? Quem perdeu, pega mais tarde ali na playlist ou na segunda edição, nessa mesma aula, tá bom? Bom dia para o Manuel, PY2 Juliette Mike Papa, grande abraço. E bom dia para o Cabral, também grande abraço. E vamos lá, oportunidade com bom dia.
Usually one of the first questions they always have is, how do I set the transmit power? How do I set the transmit level? Well, let's hit the function menu, and we're going to go down, 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 down to the bottom, or 16, and 16.1 through 16.7 all have to deal with transmit power. So you've got several different transmit power choices here. HF sideband power, HF AM power, HF power, which would be CW and data. And then you have, it says 50M, that's 50 megahertz sideband power, 50 megahertz AM power, 50 megahertz power, that's CW and data again. That's for the 6-meter band. You've got separate settings. So starting off here with sideband power, I usually set mine to 50 when I'm out in the field, but long press or press to highlight, and you can change your power level down to 5 or up to 100. And you can do the same with AM, and you can do the same with CW and the data modes. That would include RTTY and data and CW. So you can leave your CW mode at, say, 20 watts, and you can leave your phone mode at 50 watts. And then when you change the, when you go into your mode select, it will automatically make those selections for you, your power level selections. And that's the same with the 6-meter band. You can have separate 6-meter settings as you would with the rest of HF. And that's on the menu item 16, transmit power.
CQ, Parks on the air, CQ, Parks on the air. KB9 VBR, Kilo Bravo 9er, Victor Bravo Romeo calling CQ for Parks on the air.
Another real clever feature of the FT891 is its digital voice keyer. And I did a separate video on how to do digital voice keying. So you might want to check out that video to see how that feature is set up. But basically, if you go to function record settings, you can set the playback and then any of 5 channels. And I've got channel 1 set as my C key, as a hotkey, just to make it easier to key that message. So when I press channel 1,
CQ, Parks on the air, CQ, Parks on the air. KB9 VBR, Kilo Bravo 9er, Victor Bravo Romeo calling CQ for Parks on the air.
It automatically plays back that message. But one of the things is that people have told me is that, boy, that message is really loud when it's in my headphones, and wouldn't it be nice to be able to adjust the volume? Well, you can do that. If I long press the function key to get to the menu, I'm going to go to menu item 3-1 and 3-2, and these both have to do with the digital voice system. 3-1 is DVS RX out level. That would be the monitor level into your headphones. The default is 50. I've got it set down to 25. If you If you change it down even lower than that to say like 10, then you can have just a real low volume of audio. And you can see that you can hear that that's a lot quieter than what it was before. I found that if you set it above, as you get up above 50, if I go up to like 70, boy, it gets interminably loud. So just be aware of that.
CQ, parks on the air. CQ, parks on the air.
So adjusting the DVS receive output 3-1 allows you to change that value of that voice keyer that is coming out of your speaker. DVS TX out level, or TX out level, that is the amount of volume going out into the transceiver when you transmit. So if you want to kind of match your audio levels of the digital voice keyer with your actual voice audio, you can adjust those levels. I usually leave mine set to the default of 50. Seems to work really well for my voice. But depending on how you've got your microphone set up, you may need to change that slightly.
CQ, Minnesota QSO Party, Kilo 0 Mike, calling CQ Mobile.
November 4 Lima, Kilo Echo.
November 4 Lima Kilo Echo, please copy Mike, Wabasha County, Whiskey Alpha Bravo. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Please copy Ron, Romeo Oscar Nancy, Tennessee.
Roger, Ron, Tennessee. Thanks a lot for the contact.
CQ, Minnesota QSO Party, Kilo 0 Mike, calling CQ Mobile.
Victor Echo 6, Kilo Lima.
A really clever feature of the FT891 is to hold the peak levels of the meter as it's receiving a signal. So if you look on the display here, I've got it tuned into a station, and the meter's going all over the place. And I might want to be able to accurately see what that peak level is. So in order to do that, I will want to turn on the meter peak hold function. And I'll do that by long pressing the function key to get to the menu. And then I'm going to scroll down to menu 2.5, and that's peak hold. Right now we have it set to off. Click. And I can select between 0.5 seconds, 1 second, or 2 seconds. And I like to do 1 second. And there we go. Return. And now, as you look on the meter there, as it receives a signal, you can see there's a little indicator telling you where the peak levels are as the received signal jumps up and down. So this station is kind of waffling between S9 or 5.9 and 20 over 9, which is pretty common on some of these frequencies where there's a net. So the peak meter hold, a really nice way to kind of see where those peak levels are as you're receiving a signal. This is KB9 VBR, Parks on the Air, QRZ. An Echo Alpha Golf.
Kilo 2, Echo Alpha Golf, 59 Western New York.
Kilo 2 Echo Alpha Golf, Roger, the 59 New York or 59 Wisconsin, park number 1453.
Roger, thanks,
73, take it easy. This is KB9 VBR, Parks on the Air, QRZ. I think one of the most clever features of the FT891 is its split mode operation. Split operation allows you to transmit on one frequency and receive on another. This is really common if you are trying to make a contact with a DX station. DX stations will often say that they're listening on split, which means that they transmit on one particular frequency, but they listen to a wide range of frequencies, maybe 5 or 10 kilohertz above their transmitting frequency. They do this is because the pileups are so large and so massive, and if everybody is transmitting on their transmit frequency, on the DX station's transmit frequency, they can't pick stations out, and other stations can't hear the DX operator working. So they will commonly, say, listening up 5, listening up 10. Or you might see that on the spotting pages, up 5, up 10. You can configure the FT891 to operate split so that you can dial in what the split frequency is and then always be listening to the DX stations transmit. But then when you transmit, you're going to transmit on their listening split frequencies. The FT891 has a really convenient feature called the quick split operation. It's like a one-touch split. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure this radio up to use quick split. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press my function button. And I'm going to, under function 1, I'm going to choose SPL, and that's for split operation. And I'm going to program that to button B. So now I've got my split activation on my B button there to turn that on and off. And the second thing I'm going to do is now when I activate quick split, what it's going to do is it can adjust the split frequency of VFO-B to 1 kilohertz, 5 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz, etc., so that you can go split real quick. What I'm just going to show you how you can configure that by going into the menu. I'm going to press the function button, go to the menu. Menu number 5-13 is quick split frequency, and you'll see it's set for 5 kilohertz. That's the default. I can change that to say 1 kilohertz. If I was using this in CW Morse code, I would probably use a 1 kilohertz split. That's most common on the in the CW allocations. If I'm going to do phone, you can set it to 5 kilohertz. You could go up to 10 kilohertz, but really 5 kilohertz is common for phone operation. So we're going to leave that set to 5 kilohertz. I'm going to go back to my screen here, and you'll see that VFO-A is set to a 40 meter frequency. VFO-B is set to a 20 meter frequency. What I'm going to do is I'm going to balance out these two frequencies. So I'm going to press and hold the AB button. Now, both VFO-A and VFO-B are set to the same frequency. Now, if the DX station has announced that they're going split, go 5 up, go 5 up, you might hear something like that. I'm going to press, right now, I got split engaged. SPL is lit here. Both frequencies are the same, but if I press and hold B, now you'll see VFO-B just jumped up 5 kilohertz. It's now 7263, and I am ready for split. When I transmit, I will be transmitting on 7263. I will be listening on 7258 because I've got my split operation activated. It's as easy as that. If I want to turn it off, I just press split, and now split is off, and I will transmit on the main frequency 7258. If I wanted to use this on CW, and I just roll down to a CW frequency here, I will probably want to readjust my quick split frequency. So I'm going to press and hold the function button, and from our previous setting, I'm still sitting at menu number 5-13. I'm going to set this down to 1 kilohertz. Go back. AB button, I'm going to press and hold AB. Balance out both frequencies. Turn on split. And then up 1, up 1. Press and hold. And now 7059, 7060. If I wanted to go up another kilohertz, press and hold. 7061, 7062. So it just increments automatically. Really handy feature for quickly turning on and turning off split operation. To turn off split, There we go. Now we're back to VFOA exclusively. There you have it. 5 clever things you probably didn't know your FT891 could do. What's your favorite? Do you have a tip or trick for the FT891 you'd like to share?
Radio 161, great to make the hook up there, Matt. That's user about. Yeah, Matt, J. Juliet Alpha Yankee was my name for you further.
Hi, this is CBRadioMagazine.com, and today we have a special treat for you. This is the CRE8900 10-meter mobile transceiver. This is an export type radio, AM, FM, single sideband, CW, PA. This radio is currently being distributed in Europe by a company called Univercom out of France. This radio is very unique. It uses some interesting software options. You can program it from a computer, has some menu options, lots of different functions, but most of all, it's a very compact radio. And I'm going to go over the size and discuss that quite a bit in this video. But I think a lot of guys are going to be interested in this for single sideband use especially. And let's get this going. We'll show you the software, we'll pop the box, and then get into the radio. The new CRE8900 comes with a programming cable and software. Now, for those of you familiar with the previous larger models, the Alpha Max AM1000 and the Anytone 5555 or the CRT version, those radios all also use software. The unique thing about this radio is it does use the USB connector port right out of the back. So it comes with the USB cable, but it does have a connector that plugs right into the back of the radio, and we'll discuss that. Software comes with the disc, so you can program the radio via your computer. And we're actually going to do a separate video on that because there's a lot of information there, but a lot of tweaks you can do to the radio via the software. Very cool stuff. So as you open the box, first thing we're going to see is the user manual. It's a nice glossy manual, actually pretty quality printing compared to some of the manuals we see for radios. And inside the box, we'll see the small size of the CRE8900. And when I say small, and you look at this, I can almost just palm this radio. So it's a very small radio. It's got a large heatsink on the back, and we'll go through all of this, of course. Got our microphone over here, power cables, and other accessories in here for our mount. This is the back of the radio, and you can see the large heatsink. Our antenna connection is here. The CW key input is here, external speaker jack here. And here is our data connection. This is where your USB cable would connect for programming. And takes a standard 3-pin power cord, which is very nice. Let's take a top view and we'll show you how small this radio is, and we'll do some measurements for you. Just over 6.5 inches wide in the width, and lengthwise from the heatsink to the front. If you were going to go out to the very furthest front button, it's just over 9 1/4. So in between 9 1/4, 9.5 inches long, and the depth of the radio on the side is 2 inches in the height. So very, very small radio, and can throw my 2-meter that I've got here on top of it and give you an idea. You can see how small this particular CB radio, export radio is. Just one more thing I'll show you here again to show you the size of this radio. So this is a RCI 2950DX, fairly standard size export radio. And what I'll do is I'll stick the smaller new radio on top of it to give you an idea of the size.